a lot of Land of Skies work for the last 5 years, and I'm really excited to be a part of all the solutions that they help propose to issues across Western North Carolina. So it's great to meet all of you.
And could you go over some Zoom etiquette for those who might be new to that?
Right. I'm sure a lot of folks have been sitting in on conference calls like this over the past year or so, but we'll just go over a few quick things. Of course, it looks as though everyone is muted at the moment, which we'll try to keep for the first part of this session as we go through a video. You can place questions in the chat box to everyone. Any questions you have technically, you can send to me directly, and I'll do my best to answer those. And that's about it, I would say. Really look forward to this event.
You know, we don't work alone in this space. We appreciate our partners, and there were a lot of people who helped us get this video together today. I'm going to give just a few of them a minute to introduce themselves, their work in this space, and what they did as part of this project, starting with Jody Tilley.
Good morning. I hope everyone is well. I've been with MB HAYNES going on 18 years now. I'm the fleet maintenance manager for the company. We've got over 500 pieces of rolling stock. So when the opportunity came up to partner with Alliance AutoGas, you know, we did have some hesitations, and after getting our feet wet, it's been a really great experience.
Happy Fox.
Good morning. Appreciate everybody joining us this morning, and thanks for the work putting together the video for MB HAYNES and our meeting today. It has been a privilege and an honor to work with MB HAYNES. I've been with Alliance AutoGas for 5 years as a representative with the company, covering Western North Carolina and various other areas. With MB HAYNES, the neat part of the project was we kind of did a crawl, walk, run step with them. We started with just an introduction to the fleet, to, as Jody mentioned, to kind of get their feet wet and get them started. And then now we're pretty much with full running with them adding vehicles and with them having on-site refueling here at their facility in Asheville. So glad to be a part of the program today, and looking forward to the next steps.
Ed Hoffman.
Good morning. Yes, Ed Hoffman with Alliance AutoGas. I think for all the folks joining today, this is going to be a really cool concept. You know, where we have limited, ability to travel and see things, due to the pandemic. This is a neat opportunity to have a virtual tour and see something pretty cool. So welcome.
Thank you. Without much further ado, I think we're going to transition into watching the video. We can always have tech problems with this, just bear with us. I've got it all loaded up and move some screen stuff around so I can see y'all. Holler at me if you can't hear or see this.
We just lost the video. It was up for a moment, but then.
Oh.
There,
we're back.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Sarah Nichols, the Clean Cities Coordinator here at Land of Sky Clean Vehicles Coalition. Land of Sky Clean Vehicles Coalition is part of a larger network of coalitions housed under the U.S. Department of Energy's Clean Cities program. Our coalitions work with businesses, fuel providers, vehicle fleets, state and local government agencies, along with community organizations to foster the nation's economic, environmental, and energy security. We work locally to advance affordable, domestic transportation fuels, energy-efficient mobility systems, and other fuel-saving technologies and practices. Since 1993, coalitions across the country have achieved a cumulative impact in energy use reduction equal to nearly 8 billion gasoline gallon equivalents through the implementation of diverse transportation projects. That's the equivalent of taking over 15 million passenger vehicles off the road for a year. Land of Sky Clean Vehicles Coalition serves the western region of North Carolina and is housed under the Land of Sky Regional Council, a local government agency working to implement these practices in our 5-county region. In 2019 alone, stakeholders within the Land of Sky territory avoided over 7,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions by reducing vehicle miles traveled and utilizing nearly 2,000 alternative fuel vehicles. Across the region, we have more than 85 stakeholders and are glad that you're here today to learn more about some of their work. Today, we're going to take a virtual tour of MB HAYNES, a building contracting services company based right here in Asheville. You'll hear more about how MB HAYNES has taken a leadership role in the community by converting a number of their vehicles to propane, saving them money and reducing emissions. To tell you a little bit more about their experience with these vehicles and their partnership with Alliance AutoGas, I'd like to pass it over to our friends at MB HAYNES.
Welcome to MB HAYNES Corporation. My name is Jody Tilley. I'm the fleet maintenance manager here for the whole corporation. Today we're going to be taking you through a tour of our facility and talking about some of the propane upgrades that we've done to some of our vehicles. A little background of the company. The company was founded in 1921. Our tagline is quality, commitment, and character. That's one thing that the Kennedy family installed in us, and that's one thing we do try to live by. We try to help the community by going to propane. We've installed solar panels throughout our facility. We've got LED lighting throughout the facility to try to help our carbon footprint. MB HAYNES is a multifaceted company. We've got a construction company. We've got an industrial construction company, heating and cooling. We've got a solar division, Haynes Electric Construction Company. We have a technologies division, a plumbing department, and we've got also the Haynes Electric Utility. As a fleet maintenance manager, it is my job to maintain and support the whole fleet for the whole company. We have 455 vehicles. They range anywhere from a Ford Fusion to a Ford F-150, some Chevrolet half tons, 3/4 tons. We go all the way up into international 47 and 9500 series trucks. The services that they provide are anywhere from a residential service where we could come in and fix your household heating and air, electrical issues, or your plumbing issues, to we can step in and build a whole facility, whether it be in manufacturing or in an institutional setting. We can provide any service you need. If you care to walk with me, we'll start taking a tour and let you see our facility, and we'll talk a little bit more about the company and what we do. Here at our repair facility, this is one of our buildings where we perform all the service on the vehicles, whether it needs repair, whether it comes in for an oil change, whether it just needs a simple check over. Here we've got some of the new lifts that we've got in stock. That way that we can lift the vehicles, work on them from underneath. Here we can do some of the servicing for the AutoGas and the propane setups. There are 1 or 2 filters that you have to change on the system, but it's extremely easy and very efficient to do. Luckily, since we did upgrade with the propane, we didn't have to make any shop modifications, because in a regular fleet maintenance facility, you already have everything that you'll already need to do it. What originally inspired our company to look at the propane program and to move forward with it is, one, we had a solar department started, and seeing how we care about the environment, we looked at the propane a little further and decided that it would be beneficial to our company. Not only will it help the environment, not only will it make us more efficient in our fueling setup, but it will also help us on our bottom line and to lessen our carbon footprint. We'll leave here and we'll go out, we'll go through the yard, see our fueling station and some of the vehicles that we've got, to where you can see and compare it to your fleet. On site, we keep 1,000 gallons of propane, and we keep 10,000 gallons of gasoline and 10,000 gallons of diesel fuel. Both of those tanks are located over here. They're in a containment area to contain all of those if we do have a leak. As we go down through here, you're going to see some of the vehicles that we've got in our fleet. I'll talk about those. Yep. Here's our latest conversion to the biofuel with propane and gasoline. Since we've converted it, we've been able to cut our gasoline usage by 72% on this vehicle, which has reduced our cost for fuel by 32%. In my book, that's pretty impressive.
At a high level, Alliance AutoGas is the United States' only turnkey solution to convert a fleet to propane autogas. We provide the vehicle technology, the fuel dispensing equipment, and the fuel supply to our customers. In addition to that, we provide after-sales support, service, and data management. Transforming a fleet vehicle run on propane is really simple. We add a handful of components to the vehicle to make it function as a biofuel vehicle. So the truck we're going to show you right now, of course, came from the factory as gasoline. It now operates on gasoline or propane autogas. So one of the first things we have to add actually is a propane tank to store the fuel in. The customer elected to actually eliminate the spare tire and place the propane tank actually underneath the vehicle. The important thing to realize about propane is that it stores a liquid, so it's a very dense and easy to store fuel. So in that spare tire cavity that we have underneath the vehicle, we have 21 usable gallons of propane. So on this vehicle, probably anywhere from 250 to 300 miles range on propane. And again, keep in mind, we have gasoline as a backup also. To fill this vehicle with propane, it's really simple. On this truck, we decided to actually put a less intrusive fuel fill. So we actually placed it inside the truck bed. So as we come to the front of the vehicle, actually, we actually route flexible fuel lines underneath the vehicle. They actually travel with the gasoline fuel lines in a very protected space. And then we actually go into the underhood of the vehicle to the additional components that we add to allow propane usage. And underneath here, actually, there's only really 3 things that we add. First off, we have actually a pressure regulator reducer. Again, a little hard to see, on this platform. But essentially what we do is we have a device that takes that propane from the tank and then heats it actually into a vapor to make it burnable by the vehicle. And we control the pressure to be able to feed into a secondary set of fuel injectors. As you look under the hood of this vehicle, for a novice, it looks just like a normal vehicle. In the vehicle itself, it's a very simple function of how to operate the propane system. We actually add a secondary switch system. Start the vehicle. If you look at our little gauge there, the orange on top actually is the fuel level gauge for propane. The blinking light shows that it's in a standby mode. So what happens here is that we actually wait for the engine coolant on the vehicle to reach 120 degrees or so, enough to heat the propane into a vapor, and then we'll automatically switch over to propane for the remainder of the day.
As we continue on down through here, you'll see some of the conversions and some of the vans and pickup trucks that we haven't got converted yet, but they're on their way. This is one of our stereotypical propane upgrades. This is a 2020 Transit T250. It's got your standard V6 engine in it. We convert those over to propane because these go to residential houses, they go to commercial buildings and install electricity and do any type of the services that any of our customers need. We also own some of the bigger trucks, such as these bucket trucks. We're looking at possibly doing the propane upgrade on some of the gas engines in those as well. These trucks are mainly used for installing red lights, putting up power lines, running services to buildings. We're also looking at some of the smaller transit vans. On these, the propane's a little bit more difficult to do, but it does make a difference. It does make a difference in the operating costs, and the drivers really seem to like it. Over here's another example of some of the trucks that we have that have propane on them. The propane tank usually takes the place of the spare tire, which the spare tire in turn goes into the bed of the truck. The truck inside, the driver really has to do nothing to it. Soon as the propane's installed and soon as it's initially turned on, the propane is self-sufficient. If it starts getting low on propane and runs out, it automatically switches to gasoline. If your gasoline's full, then you can go twice as far on each fill up. That's one way that it really benefits us, is we're able to send our crews out at twice the distance with only stopping half the time to fill up. That way we're working more efficiently and taking care of our customers in the best way possible. As we continue our tour, we'll come down here to the fueling station where the drivers fill up on a daily basis or on an as-needed basis. A lot of the concerns that we hear from fleets when they're first considering the conversion is the safety aspect. Here at our company, safety is our #1 priority continually. After doing our research and doing our due diligence, we found propane and the conversion kits to be perfectly safe for our usage. Our partnership with Alliance AutoGas has been instrumental to our company, seeing how they set up our on-site fueling station for us. They've helped us convert all the vehicles that we've done so far and continue to support us throughout this journey.
So if you look right here at how this setup has been put here for this customer, we have a provision here for a 1,000 gallon storage tank and a self-service automated fuel dispenser for the driver use. As this program expands, we could add additional tanks, vertical tanks, and grow this account to be able to have an opportune fuel supply for the customer. From a fuel supply standpoint, we have telemetry actually on the tank that monitors its current level and comes back to our centralized operation. We monitor the level of this tank live. And then during our normal distribution in this area for propane delivery, we'll schedule this in and top off the tank to keep it always full and ready for the customer. This is a very modern and unique offering. If you notice on this dispenser, there's actually 2 handles, one on the right side, one on the left side. The handle on the left side is actually used for filling forklift cylinders. Has a different type of attachment, a more classical, they call it the Acme attachment for filling cylinders. And then also when fuel is dispensed through that side of the dispenser, it's done with no road tax on it. On the other side of the dispenser is our new Quick Connect technology that we use on the vehicles that would go through that chain and then have road tax applied properly to it. From a customer responsibility standpoint, we provide this tank and this dispenser to the customer at no cost. It's part of the fuel delivery process. The customer typically is responsible for any kind of site improvements. So in this case, MB Haynes actually put the bollards in for crash protection, and I believe we upgraded that light to a crash-proof light system, which is part of the local code. But beyond that, bring electrical power to it. Electrical needs are very simple for propane dispensing. It's simply like a 240 volt plug-in, if you will, or hardwire. So one of the nice things too about having your own private fuel station is that with propane, unlike other fuels that have significant footprints and storage capacities, this setup takes as little as 1 parking space.
As our drivers come up, we've got all the safety protocols set in place for the poles. The driver will pull his truck or van here. Each driver has their own fuel card. The driver will come up, slide his fuel card in. Then the display will ask, have you went through the training protocol within the past 6 months? The driver will either match 1 or 2. Then it'll ask for the driver ID. The driver will put in their PIN number, and as they put in their PIN number, the screen will swap and ask for their vehicle number. The driver puts in the vehicle number, then it will ask for the mileage. After they put in the mileage, then it will actually turn the pump on. Each card is set up to either turn the vehicle side on or the off-road side on. Because we also use propane in our welders, our forklifts, any of our off-road equipment that we're capable of being able to do. The benefits that a company can see by converting to propane is very multifaceted. 1, propane is cheaper per gallon. 2, it's more efficient for your drivers to fill up. 3, you can drive further on a single fill up. 4, you're not dependent solely on gasoline or diesel. Propane being a natural gas, anytime the gasoline spikes or there's a shortage of it, you're always going to be able to get to the job site and take care of your customers. Another advantage that we've seen from it is comparing our vehicles pre-propane to after propane. We're averaging about a 62% reduction in unleaded fuel usage. That ends up on our bottom line at about a 32 to 33% fuel savings for us. Because as an employee owner of this company, we care about the environment. We care about the future for everyone. So if you were thinking about stepping up and converting some of your vehicles, MB Haynes stands behind it. It's a great product.
Like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we liked making that. At this point, I'm going to open it up for some Q&A. If you want to unmute and kind of talk to these people, or you can throw that in the chat box. Paul will be following up on the Q&A from over there. Jody, Ed, Happy, some of the others. We got a lot of experienced people in the room here. If anyone's got questions. Well, I have one for MB Haynes. I'm gonna, can you guys unmute yourselves? Are you able to?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Why propane versus some of the other fuel choices you might have had? What helped make your decision?
Well, one thing that helped make our decision is propane's produced here in the States. So the fuel is usually readily available for one. That's for one reason. Another reason is Alliance AutoGas is right here in our back door. Happy Fox, Ed has been unbelievably responsible for any issues that may have popped up. The support after the installation has been astronomically good. I mean, I have nothing good or nothing but good things to say about them. Anytime we've had an issue, they've been there to help us resolve it, which have honestly has been far and few between. So I guess that really makes Happy's job easy. You know, another thing is we try to set ourselves as the industry leader. One reason we went with propane, besides it being right here in our back door, is celebrating our 100-year anniversary. This is the best time for us to roll it out and show the rest of the community to, hey, follow us, follow in our footsteps.
Got a question in from Chris Dobbins that asks the cost of the conversions. What do the conversions cost?
I will refer that over to Ed Hoffman. He'll know more about that than I will.
Yeah, so just to give a ballpark idea, like a retail price to convert a vehicle turnkey is around $6,000. This arrangement here for MB Haynes was quite unique, though. We did this more like a subscription program. So there's no cash outlay up front for the conversion. So there's a monthly fee per vehicle, and that monthly fee is less than the fuel savings that they see every month. So they're net cash positive in month one. So it works out very well that way without having to have a impact to the customer. And then we also put a provision there for this customer that as they update their fleet or change vehicles out, there's a fee essentially to reinstall a system into another vehicle, much like upgrading a cell phone. So a very unique program, and one of the first that we've done this with, but it's gotten good traction since this too.
I just want to, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I see a couple other notes here that I might be able to help with, because I noticed there's one here from William Cartwright about the biofuel truck. So 21 gallons is the usable propane on this vehicle. And I believe on a Ram half ton like that, I think it's a 24-gallon gasoline or petrol tank. So got about nearly equal range on either fuel, a little more gasoline. And I'll let Jody answer the one, of course, on maintenance, but just add a general comment. Nathan has a question about what's the barrier for other companies to make this conversion. I think it's awareness. And then the second piece is that I think that there's so many other priorities that companies have today that a change like this could be seen as a disruption. I guess what we try to sell, or what we try to present, is the fact that, you know, we take the heavy lifting and try to really help and take that for the customer. So the anticipated barrier is that it's disruptive, but the answer is that we can make it very little disruptiveness. And then Jody, I'll toss it to you on maintenance costs.
Well, building on what Ed said there, looking at it from a real world standpoint of view, when I was going through the automotive program and getting my associate's degree in automotive technology, I also went through the biofuel program and got propane certification. At that time, we were taught that it takes about 25% more propane to make the same amount of BTU power as it does gasoline. Keep in mind, that's in those standards, and not to date myself, but that's been more than 15 years ago. So that being said, under real world experience, the Ram that we were showing on the video is my company truck. On average, I drive 45 to 55 miles a day. And honestly, running just straight propane, because the vehicle will start up on gasoline until it gets to operating temperature, then it swaps to propane. So taking that into consideration, I'm really only losing about 1.6 to 1.8 miles a gallon. But the cost difference between the propane versus gasoline, man, we're saving money. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
Those savings also have maintenance costs been reduced in addition to fuel costs?
Maintenance costs stay about the same for us. It is advertised that you can go further on a service using propane. On our business setting, though, we choose not to do that. We run our vehicles 5,000 miles or 200 hours, whichever comes up first. So what we choose to do is stay with that same maintenance program. The only change is it takes a couple of extra minutes just to change a couple of filters on the propane system. And honestly, it's so user friendly. That's all you have to do.
So was there any special training that you or your staff had to take to work with these vehicles?
There was a couple of training scenarios that we went through, and Alliance AutoGas was more than happy to step up and show us how to do it.
Another question came in about how drivers like it. How was the adjustment for them regarding the change to fuels, and have they noticed a change in the way the vehicle drives? Has there been an improvement there?
One thing to keep in mind, you know, as these questions come in, I'm not paid by Alliance AutoGas, so I mean, I know I'm speaking highly of them, but some of our drivers to begin with, we met a lot of resistance with. They were thinking, well, you know, I'm sitting on top of a propane tank, it's liable to explode at any minute. But once you stop to think about it, I mean, you're sitting on top of a gasoline tank as well. So some of the drivers were a little hesitant to get the initial buy-in, but after talking to them and explaining to them how it worked, and especially us being employee owned, it didn't take us nearly as long to get employee buy-in and them using it. We've got a couple of vehicles that don't always come here to the office. They have to catch a remote fueling site. So they'll either have to find one, Google it, or they contact me and I try to get them set up on that. There's not a huge amount out there. That's one of the drawbacks. But as far as power and as far as people saying that pulling and drivability issues, they haven't really noticed any change, and I hope that answers the question. I know I kind of went down the rabbit hole, but I came back. So
I'm curious to know what Alliance AutoGas sees as adoption going forward in the next year or 2 years. Are you having a lot of conversations with folks? Are people ready to make this change?
I'll jump in quick, and then I'm going to pass it to Happy. He's definitely more on the street than I am. We've had considerably narrower margins between the price of gasoline and propane over the course of the last year or so. Saying that, it's still been 70, 80 cents or more a gallon spread, but not $1 or $2 that some customers like to see. So where we've seen great adaption or adoption recently has been more in higher utilized fleets like street sweepers or towing vehicles and areas like that. But in paratransit has also been a great segment for us too. But Happy, let me pass that to you. What are you seeing and feeling close to the street?
Good deal. So a couple of areas that we're looking at, and I mentioned what Ed was doing is we're kind of targeting fleets, not targeting, but researching fleets that are close to our branches. So like we have a branch that's 24/7 in Asheville. We have one in Hendersonville. There's others in Western North Carolina and East Tennessee and other areas where it has the card reader system like you saw in the video with MB HAYNES. So there's a lot of fleets like that we can have infrastructure where they can come to our site to refuel. So that makes it easier on them and easier on us, as opposed to putting in a whole new refueling system, which does cost a good bit of money for an investment on our part. But that's one of the good areas. Those fleets would range from some small medical supply delivery companies to small independent transit operators, as well as some service delivery companies as well. Not as large as MB HAYNES, but on a smaller platform than them.
So you're finding that it's working for companies with larger fleets and smaller fleets?
Yes. So our smallest fleet it would be a vehicle of 2 vehicles, like Meals on Wheels here in Asheville. They've got a couple of vehicles that refuel at our branch, and they're operating on 2. Our largest fleet is going to be up in East Tennessee. It's going to be over 100 vehicles. So anywhere from 2 plus. We can make it work with either one of our or a shared fueling site, or if it's like MB HAYNES, if it has a number of vehicles, a multi-use site, then we can put refueling on site for them to make it beneficial for their fleet.
We got a question in about utilization. How does utilization of the biofuel help with fleet efficiency?
Well, on the fleet efficiency part of it, sometimes we have to use some strategic planning. Just like Happy was saying, they have a 24/7 fueling station here in Asheville. Well, our guys have access to ours as well. Some of our employees are in remote areas, whether it be Silva and even on further, Barnesville and some of the more remote areas where the propane fueling stations aren't as prevalent. So it takes a little bit of strategical planning on our part to utilize that as much as possible. Plus, it all comes down to driver as well. If the driver chooses not to, then it's not going to be a benefit for a company or anyone who installs it. It comes down to the driver.
How does conversion into propane fit into MB HAYNES' sustainability plan?
Well, like I said before, we've been here 100 years. We plan to be here at least 100 more. So as far as our sustainability program, we're looking at solar power. We're looking with propane. We're looking at different energy alternate uses for it. That way we can expand our company, we can help the environment, and we can help the community. So as propane is going to be here, so we plan to be here.
So it sounds like switching over to propane hasn't hasn't been an end to an alternative fuel exploration for MB Haynes. Is that right?
No, not at all. This is Alliance has been a huge partner with us in this step on our journey. We're not stopping here. We're pushing the buck. We like to get out there and be a leader in the industry.
Judy, can you speak to some of the work you're doing in the region with solar power?
Oh, I try to stay up on it as much as possible. We've got some big solar projects around the Biltmore state. We've got solar projects all the way from South Carolina all the way into Maryland. We set up huge solar farms in Maryland. We set up several solar farms around here. A lot of the greenhouses are taking advantage of the advantages of the services that we offer. We've got a whole department dedicated just to solar that I would have to refer to them because they're more educated about it than I am. I just know that we're doing a lot of good things for the community and a lot of big projects, especially in Western North Carolina.
Paul, this is Bill Aker. Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Hey, Jody mentioned some paratransit systems, that those were good fits because of the amount of fuel that they use. I thought I would just let you all know some of the fleets that are using propane in our area, and Happy and Ed and Chris Dobbins, if if I'm missing any, please throw those out. But all three of our national park units in the Asheville metro area, the Blue Ridge Parkway, Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and Carl Sandburg Home, are all three using propane. And we assisted all three of those with securing some grant funding to do those conversions and put in fueling systems in some cases. Also, as far as paratransit systems, Buncombe County's Mountain Mobility, Haywood Public Transit, Jackson County Transit. Those are, this year, Transylvania County Transit will be doing a conversion on a couple of vehicles, and that will be a new conversion for them, or getting into this propane program. The town of Waynesville, as far as communities go, has been a leader in this area. I think they've got over over about 25 vehicles.
Yeah, that's about right, Bill.
Right.
The police department and a couple of pickup trucks.
Right, including a lot of the Dodge Chargers. And I know that was the first time that I think Dodge Chargers had been converted, maybe by Alliance AutoGas. But that's worked out pretty well. Again, and the key is getting drivers to use the fuel. You got to use the fuel to recoup those savings. About a year or so ago, Warren Wilson College converted a number of vehicles as well. So we've got quite a bit of use here in our Asheville area with good results. In addition, we've got a number of entities like the Parkway and the Smokies and several others that are using propane in their mowers with good success. And occasionally there are grant funds available for different sources. So if anyone is interested in exploring funding opportunities, feel free to get a hold of Sarah, us with the coalition. Thank you.
How important is the flexibility, the option that these propane conversions have to still be able to use traditional or fuel that folks are really more familiar with? How important is that for MB Haynes' decision to adopt this?
For our company, that was a huge selling point. As I said previously, I had been educated in propane usage before. I was not the biggest fan to begin with. I was hesitant. I drug my feet, tried to do my due diligence, and after sitting back, looking at the numbers and seeing the systems, how they're set up, and the support that you get afterwards, being able to rely on another fuel source is unmeasurable. For anyone that's been in the industry, the last fuel shortage we had where gasoline was $4, $5 a gallon, you was having to wait an hour, hour and a half to get a few gallons of gas. You wouldn't have to do that with propane. If the technology had been there then and we were able to convert then, it would have been a no-brainer for us. So, and with the political climate and everything the way it is now, it can happen again. I mean, our reliance on fossil fuels and stuff grow more and more every day. So it's a huge benefit for us.
Jody, if you don't mind, I'm Steve Whaley with the Propane Education and Research Council out of Washington, D.C. And I've been doing quite a bit of study on the total cost of ownership comparisons. And you talked about solar and going into other areas. You know, you being an electrical company, you know, it would make you know, a little bit of logical sense to look at electric powered, you know, medium duty trucks like those buckets and everything else. But my study has shown that, you know, where propane might be about a 15%, you know, additional cost on top of a, you know, complete truck package, the electric ones are 300%, you know, more expensive. And I, even if I can find them, I was just wondering in your journey, if you found anything that, you know, is any better than that, or, you know, where the range might be more than being able to go 50 miles. Because I haven't found it yet. And I was just wondering if you had.
Well, one thing that we have looked at doing some of the electric pickups. We've even looked at doing some of the electric cars. And for us, that it's just not there because, like you say, the initial buy-in is so high that your ROI is going to be non-existent by the time that piece of equipment will wear out. With the electric cars, electric trucks, your battery charge is so small that when you actually start calling on it to be a work truck, that the longevity is just not there. Your charging stations are getting better, but not to the point where they need to be. With the propane, it's more readily available. You can find different places to fuel it up. Plus, you're not, if you're actually using it as a work truck, you don't lose that much torque. You don't lose horsepower. With electric, it's instant torque, instant horsepower, but for a shorter distance. One thing that we also did look at is from a marketing standpoint of view. We started to put some of our project managers, we thought about putting those and maybe some Priuses and stuff like that. But you roll into an industrial complex, you know, building a factory, and your project manager rolls in a Prius, that, you know, that kind of stick out like a sore thumb. You know, that's not, from our point of view, that wasn't very professional. So we wanted to stay with actual work trucks, whether it be Chevrolet, Ford, Ram. I mean, we even looked at Toyota and Nissan, you know, and from a marketing standpoint of view, the electric, it's just not there for us yet.
I understand. All right. Thanks, Jody.
Jody, how long does it take for the engine to heat up to the point where the regulator switches to propane?
That depends on the manufacturer. Ram, you're in, before the propane kicks on, you're probably 2.5 minutes. Here lately, because it's been so cold, some of the Fords you're in 2 minutes. Some of the Chevrolets can take a little longer than that. If the vehicle has already been warm and you stop at the job site for a few minutes, the vehicle's still warm, you get in it, you're less than 15, 20 seconds. So that all depends on the temperature outside, really, and the manufacturer of the vehicle.
And it's a seamless transition. The driver doesn't need to do anything once it's
Yeah,
at
you'll
temperature.
never know it. The only thing that you'll see is, like Ed talked about in the video, Alliance AutoGas installs a on-off switch. You can cut it on, you can cut it off independently of the ECM. It's got a fuel gauge on it. When it's warming up, the vehicle coming up to operating temperature, the little on light just flashes. Once it's burning solid, you know it's running on propane. But as far as any stuttering, any engine misfires, dropping of power, you notice nothing.
How about the jobs industry? What does the future of jobs look like for the propane industry?
In regards to AutoGas side or Blossman Gas Company, which way you want to go with that, Paul? I'm sorry.
Can you address both?
Sure. Yeah. So on Alliance AutoGas side, we service the Blossman Company footprint, which basically is about 12 states in the Southeast, Maryland to Kentucky, Louisiana to Florida. Then we have partners that help us service the rest of the lower 48 states. So in that area, we have partners like in Maryland, well, not Maryland, let's say Ohio, or we have partners in Minnesota or out west that we will work with for them to have an AutoGas program, or maybe it's MD Anderson at Texas. So we have a broader range of other gas companies that are able to provide fuel and the infrastructure and the service. And then we also go there and train technicians to be able to either convert vehicles or to be able to provide service and maintenance on those vehicles as well. So in our need, everything has been lowered because of, except for maybe the medical and a couple of things, most things have been lowered due to the impact of the COVID virus. Last year we ended up overall, Ed can give more details, but we ended up with overall with a good year with adding customers and with systems. Fuel was off just mainly due to fleets not running as much, particularly in the transit or law enforcement segments as they would in the past. On the Blossman Gas Company side, they're always looking for good people. They've got on their website, they've got a site to where you can look for a career. Here's what different options we have available. I'm sure Jody and MB Haynes has the same thing. We're looking for good technicians, good trained people, good people that we can train. So on the Blossman Gas side, we're still growing and expanding. And on Alliance AutoGas side, we're plowing through the tide that's kind of hit everybody right now with the virus. Ed, you can add to that if you need to say a little bit more, but it kind of gives you maybe a good snapshot.
Yeah, I mean, overall, last year was a decent year. I mean, we had a lot of interruption with vehicle availability, much like everyone else in the industry did. There's not building the vehicles and delivering them, so we can't convert them. So there's been some built-up demand from that standpoint. But a lot of our segments are in airport transportation and public transportation. Those segments have slowed down with COVID, of course. So on the gas side, we saw an impact there. But overall, there seems to be a lot of uncertainty right now in the economy and other areas that options like this to help secure fuel prices are becoming more and more popular. So after the new year, we've seen a good tick up in activity, actually.
We're coming up on time, and I really appreciate everyone's involvement in this one. I think this is one of the most engaged Q&As I've seen, not just from our own, but in general for these kinds of events. If you have any more questions, you can certainly direct them, sarah@landofsky.org, and we will funnel those to some of our partners here who might be the best fit to answer any of that. For all the people who registered, we'll be following up with a link that'll also be on our website to this video, as well as a shorter version. Without much further ado, thank you. Thank you for your time and have a good day.